Welcome to yoga. We've got special guest Rena Wren here today with me today. Yay, Bestie yoga. All right, grab a couple blocks, your blanket, or just yourself and your mat. None of those other things are necessary, but they make life a little more comfortable. Also, Rena's gonna be using a little ottoman here on occasion, just to give you some examples of using elevated surfaces, not just your blocks, in case hamstrings are a little tight, hips are a little tight, something like that you want to use your, don't want to go all the way to the floor for. Okay, so as we get started, let's start in child's pose. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my blocks, place them up here toward the top, just so they'll be there ready and available. If you have an elevated surface you like to use, take that to the top of your mat as well, or just position yourself so that you can turn toward it when ready. And look, she's already getting started. That's what happens when you're working with a pro. Right, so, all right, so Rena's going to show you here. So she had if you want to open your chest more, you can use your blocks, or you can use that elevated space if you have it. Or if you want to just place your hands directly on the floor or underneath your head, moving into child's pose. For any variation that suits you, this is all about finding the right options for yourself. So for myself, I'd like to have a little more open chest. I'm just going to go down to the blocks though. This could even be a rolled up blanket or something lower than even the blocks. Okay, just allowing your head to fall. So placing the knees where it's most comfortable for you to allow for the back to feel a little more relaxed, and for your chest to sink down a little further. You may take your knees out wider. And then just start to focus on your breath here. So deep breath in through the nose. Allow the lungs to fill. Exhale out. So the first few rounds of breath are really just for you to connect, to find the space where you are now, to slow down, to let go. Try to increase that breath every inhale and exhaling just as long or even longer than the inhale. Allow the tongue to fall away from the teeth. Your jaw soft, relaxed. Taking about 2 to 3 more rounds of breath. If you need to make any additional changes or movements with your arms, feel free to do so here. So then when you're ready, starting to slowly lift, bring the hands forward and just gaze slightly ahead. If you're using your blocks or something that your hands are on, go ahead and move that just slightly out of the way. And then we'll just start to walk the hands over toward the left side and really reach that right hand up. So reach it forward, get a long stretch down the right side of the body. Breathe in like you're breathing to the space between your ribs. Let the head become soft, relaxing. And we'll slowly start to lift and walk over to the opposite side. So now reaching the left hand forward as far as you can. And really sinking down through that left side waist. Maybe even feel like you're kind of dropping your armpit just a little closer to the floor. Let your head relax. If your head doesn't feel like it, if you don't feel like you can let your head just kind of fall here, you could even place the other hand with a little fist just right there at the top of the forehead, and allow that to rest on your hand. Taking 2 more rounds of breath. Imagine that you're breathing in through the side waist. And as we start to lift up, walking back to center again. So bring the hands forward. Go ahead and lift up Bringing knees back underneath the hips, so finding your little table position here, nice flat back. Feel free to keep cushion under the knees if that feels better for you. Try to allow let me move this. Try to allow here the tops of your feet to push down toward the floor or towards your mat. And then just take a few little cat-cows. So we're gonna let the belly fall. Just really relax between the shoulder blades. Just let things fall with gravity. And then as you exhale, you're rounding up, lifting up, hollowing out. Inhale slowly, let tail rise, shoulders just roll back. Your gaze is slightly ahead. Exhale, push the floor away, lift up, hollow out. Take a couple of more here at your own pace with your breath. And just try to connect the movement and the breath together. If it's backwards from mine, that's okay. I just want you to start to find the connection of your own breath, your own movement. As you come back to center, take a pause. And we'll just bring the knees a little closer together. Letting the knees drop over to the right, keep weight in your left hand. So I want you to kind of slightly tuck your tail just a little bit, just a little, and then over to the left so that we don't collapse into the low back. Maybe start to feel a little deeper stretch on the side of your hip here as you rotate. Again, just watch your shoulders so that the shoulders aren't coming with you, meaning that if your hips are going to the left, we want to watch that right shoulder so it's not falling down and keeping your kind of diagonal line here. I want you to keep it pretty square. Take that one more time to each side. Hopefully starting to get a little more warmed up through the hips. Back into center space. Separating the knees, so about hip distance. Walk the hands slightly ahead of the shoulder line. As you turn the toes under, we'll shift back toward the heels. Just get a great stretch here, pushing your hips all the way back. Feel like you could kind of float your hips up a little bit, even in this position. Inhale, come up. We'll keep the toes turned under, lift the knees, pressing back into down dog. So finding your down dog here, shoulders drawing away from your ears, just keeping that great space that's around the space of your neck. So as Rena's showing us here, you can also take that always to an elevated space. So if it's a little too much for your shoulders or your wrist, you can take your hands up higher anytime. So let's inhale, come back down, knees to the floor. And you can press back again into child's pose, stretching back. We'll just repeat this pattern a few times. So this time, moving with each breath. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, pressing back. Start to next move with your next breath as you inhale, coming down, and exhale, pressing back. Inhale, and exhale, press it back. So you're just moving back and forth between your down dog and child's pose. We'll take 2 more rounds, ending with our last down dog. So the round you're currently in, let's take one more full round. If at any time you feel like you want to move your blanket, just take that off the mat. With your last full down dog, we'll take 3 rounds of breath in that hold. So lift the hips up, press back, hold here, 3 full breaths. Taking the last full breath in. As you exhale, begin to gaze forward slightly. Start to walk your hands up toward, or walk your feet up towards your hands. Now you're in forward bend. Let's take a little ragdoll hang. So we'll bend the knees and then just let your chest kind of rest towards your thighs as much as possible. Or you can take the supported option that Riri's showing us over here. So your hips stacked over your heels, your elbows resting on an elevated space, or maybe just your hands or forearms are resting. But try to allow something to happen there where you feel supported. So if your hamstrings are fairly tight, allow that support to rest underneath your arms or upper body. If you'd like to take a little sway, you could even shift a little side to side. And then as we come back to center, keep the knees bent. Slide the hands up just above your knees, and then start to bring yourself up, and then finally just unhinging from your hips, coming all the way up to standing. As we inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, hinging from the hips, soft bend in the knees. Hands can go to that elevated space or blocks or to the floor. Lifting up halfway. Nice flat back, but the knees are always softly bent, just making sure you don't walk out. And lower it back down. Inhale, sweeping up. So we'll do that a couple more times, just a half salutation here. Hands move right back down to the heart center. Okay. Inhale. Exhale, folding forward. That soft bend in the knees, especially if the back of the legs are feeling pretty tight. We'll come up, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale down. So if your hands are resting on a surface, make sure it's within reach comfortably. Inhale, start to rise up. Hands can go back to the knees or out to the sides, unhinge. Down the center or wherever your preference is with your arms. Doesn't have to be just one way. Exhale, folding, lowering down, lifting up halfway. So here, we're gonna bring the hands down to the floor, or if you've got your blocks, you could use those. I didn't cue you to grab them, so you can take those here. Okay, so hands to the blocks, or they can stay to an elevated surface. We're gonna step the left foot back. This nice big giant step. You can always walk blocks back or move the item that you're using. We're gonna lower that left knee all the way to the floor. Always feel free to grab your cushion again if you like. Front knee in line with heel. We're just in that nice low lunge. Okay, so lifting your chest here. I want you to take your hands to your thigh or to that elevated space if that feels more secure. And lift away from the thigh without shifting your hips back. So I want you to try to pull your hip points up just a little bit away from that front thigh. Pull the rib cage in so that you're not overarching in your back. And we just feel a nice length happening down the left hip flexor here. Continue to breathe, gazing ahead. Taking left arm, let's reach it up. And then reach over to the right just slightly. Just lengthening more on that left side way. So you can keep your hand, your forearm, or your hand on a block beside you. Okay, take another breath. And then bring it back to center. We'll just set the blocks to the sides for just a moment. Stepping your right foot back to meet your left. And we'll lower down. So find a plank position, shoulders rock back, pull up through the front body. We're gonna lower down slow and controlled all the way to the mat. Once you've reached the mat, uncurl the toes, tops of the feet heavy. Start to float the chest up, squeeze the elbows in. Not a big movement. Just a little cobra. Bring it back down. Turn toes under. I want you to try to pull your hips up a little bit first. Scoop up through your core and then push the rest of your body off the mat. Okay. Lift up, press back, down dog. Taking 3 full rounds of breath. So for each breath, you may even like to place an intention or a gratitude to your breath today, making this more of a moving meditation and gratitude practice. As you inhale, gaze forward, again walking or stepping up to the top of your mat. Lifting up halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. We'll start to lift up again, all the way, unhinging from the hips, all the way to standing. Bring the hands down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, folding forward. All the way toward the mat or to your elevated space. Lifting up halfway. So again, taking hands onto something or to the floor, picking up the right foot, float it back and then let it drop. So you're finding that space where your left knee is right in line with your left heel, dropping the right knee toward the floor. Good. So if you feel like you're reaching forward, so if you start here, remember your props are mobile for a reason, right? So we don't ever have to feel like we're reaching forward toward them. Just lift up, move them back a little. Okay, so your toes can stay under on the back foot or flat, your choice. We're gonna take the hands to the thighs, inhale. See if you could kind of pull that left hip point up away from this hip crease here. Well, both of your hips are gonna move, but see if you can pull that up so the whole pelvic girdle just kind of lifting up, dropping tail just a little, not a tuck. Okay. Bring the ribs in. And when you're ready, that right arm can sweep up. You can rest your elbow or forearm to the thigh or hand to block. Just reach it over, getting longer on the right side. Breathing in all the way down the body. Taking last full breath here. Coming back down. Once again, we're just gonna step that left foot back to meet the right. Finding your plank variation. So if you're feeling more power today, you can pull those knees off the floor if you like, or stay down with your knees to the floor. Inhale, start to lower yourself down as you exhale. Take a pause, and then uncurl the toes. Inhale, lift the chest, making sure that your pubic bone stays heavy. We're lowering back down. So again, you can stay in more of a gentle space on the knees, or lift the knees if you're working on a full pickup and press yourself away from the floor. Lifting up and pressing back into downward facing dog. Take 3 full rounds of breath again. On that last breath, begin to inhale, and then gazing forward as you exhale, walking or stepping your way up to the top, lifting halfway once you've arrived. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, sweeping up. Hands meeting back at center. Inhale, sweeping, big reach up. Exhale, forward bend. Lifting halfway. We're going to step back with the left foot. So once again, you can take your blocks. We're going to lift the left leg, send it all the way back, dropping it down. Watch your front knee. Okay, just check it out. Make adjustments as needed. So we try not to bring it over the toes this way. We're just going to keep it behind that toe line somewhere. So we're going to keep the left knee up this time. Okay, I want you to put a lot of action in it. So really try to bring that knee up, engaging through the quadricep. Feel like you are kind of rotating that left hip down just slightly. And we're going to lift the chest. So once again, now rising up. If you feel like you need to bring that left knee down, that's your choice. If you want to go into that a little bit more gentle variation, we're going to take left arm, reach it up again, over to the right side, just slightly. And then bring that left hand down. This time we're going to bring the left hand all the way to the floor or a block. Okay, so I'm just going to go to floor. You can stay elevated on a block or again on a higher surface if you choose. We're going to keep that back leg really straight and lifted and bring the right arm up as you rotate, or your right hand can rest on your hip. Just moving into a gentle twist here. Always feel free to drop your knee when needed. Come back around to center. Deep breath in, stepping right foot back to meet the left. Once again, find your plank. That could be knees or toes as you lower yourself down to the mat. Full lowering. Inhale, curling up into your cobra. Elbows stay in. Exhale down, turn toes under. Take a breath to prepare. Exhale, push yourself up away from the mat and then lift up, press back. Gazing forward, inhale. We'll begin walking forward or stepping up to the top. Lifting halfway, inhale up. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, sweeping up, come all the way up. Hands meeting back at center. Once again, inhale, sweep. Exhale, fold. As you lift halfway, breath in. Right foot goes back. Once again, on blocks or just hands to the floor, whatever your choice is. We'll sweep up, inhale. Bring the left hand down to the thigh. Reach right arm over the midline just a little bit. Good. Nice long stretch down the right side body and down through that right hip flexor. And challenging our balance a little. If you want that knee down, it's your choice. You can always stay at that first level. Bring it back to center. Dropping right hand to floor or an elevated space. Left arm reaches up, or you can stack it on top of your hip somewhere. Okay, whatever feels better for your shoulder especially. Okay, good. Deep breath in. Bring it back around. We're gonna step that left foot back again into your plank, whatever the variation may be. Inhale, shift forward if you're on your toes. Lower down slowly, knees or toes to the floor. And then lifting. Should be a nice little lift of cobra, nothing overpowering. Back down. Inhale, toes or knees as you lift up, push away from the floor, press it back. Now this time, let's stay here for just a moment. I want you to take your feet a little bit closer to center, picking up the right leg, bend the knee, flip that right hip open, take a look under your armpit, see if you can find your foot dangling over here. We're really trying to lift that right hip up over the left hip as much as you can. Bring it back to center. Now I want you to draw your right knee in towards your chest. Modification would be knee to floor on the left side. Take it back. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bring it in. Nose, knee closer together. They don't have to touch. You're just driving that knee up. This time you're going to step that right foot up. So if need be, you can take your left foot down to get there. Right foot goes to the top of the mat. Inhale, rising up. Good. Into a crescent variation, whether it's low or high, your choice. And we're going to open up. If you're standing, you're going to drop your left heel to the floor. Keep your right knee anchored. Okay. If you're on the floor here, would you mind showing them that one, Rena? So just a little variation on the knee. Okay, there you go. So it looks basically the same. We're just going to pull that left hip back a little. Opening up into warrior two. Where's your face? There it is. There it is. Hold it here. All right, exalted warrior, right arm up. So your right leg is in front. That's the same arm that goes up. You're reaching back towards your back foot. Or just as far as you can. Come back around into your warrior two. Inhale, spin around, reach the arms up. We're just gonna go back into that little crescent position. Bring left hand down, right arm reaching. Now we're back into that twist where we started earlier. Let's bring it back around to center, stepping your right foot back again, finding your variation of plank, lowering down slowly to the mat. Inhale, keep squeezing your elbows in a bit, just gently lift, back down. Inhale, pressing up. Exhale, pushing back. Same thing, left leg. Bring it up. Flip it open. So just like you're going to try to stack your left hip a little up on top of the right hip. Lifting. Deep breath. Come back around to center. Try to straighten out that leg. Now bring knee to nose as you shift toward plank. Take it back. So if you need a modification for this one, right knee can be on the floor, moving through a table position. Okay, so inhale, good. Exhale, you're going to take your left foot to the top of your mat, high or low lunge. Make sure the feet are separated left and right if you're standing. Inhale, sweeping up, finding your crescent. Now in your crescent, once again, always a reminder not to try to flare those ribs open, even though it looks all neat and stuff. Pull it in. We're keeping the pelvis pretty level here. Notice if your right hip is dropping down because that right leg is back. Pull it back up. Good. Take right arm, reach over to the left side. So that left hand can rest or can dangle down beside you. Let's come back to center. Both arms up. Opening up into warrior two. So dropping your right heel down, or if you're on your knee, you can just turn that leg a little. Let's move into our exalted warrior here. Left arm, palm flips up and reach. Your visual point can just stay across the room. You can look up slightly, depends on how your neck feels. Let's bring it back to your warrior two. Sweep around, back to crescent, dropping your right arm, hand to floor. Left arm reaches, you're in your twist. That knee can be down or up. You could still be elevated or not. You're turning toward your front leg. Deep breath in, exhale it out. Bring that left arm down, sweep it down, step back, find your plank. You could always skip in the little transition here or follow along. So if you want to skip, you just move yourself into down dog or child's pose, take a rest. Okay. Back down. Maybe your cobra's growing a little now because we're more warmed up. Press it back. Inhale, gazing forward, stepping or walking up to the top. Halfway lift and lower down. Inhale, sweep all the way up. Hands move back down to center. Inhale, sweeping. Exhale, forward fold. Lifting halfway. Stepping, left foot back. We're going to find that high crescent again. Sweeping up, so high or low, depending on how it feels for you. Opening up into warrior two, dropping left heel down. Okay, check out your front knee. Make sure it didn't come for the ride. It's over there, kind of slightly to the right side of your mat. Take the right arm up. And then bring it back down. Now take that right elbow to your thigh and bring left arm up. Reach. Good, side angle. So that right knee, once again, just try to check it out. Make sure it's not falling in, even if that means you need to slightly turn your toes out. That can be also a nice aid to get that knee in from falling in. Take one more breath. Sweep it around, find that warrior two again. Now this time we're gonna step up to the top of the mat. We're gonna be moving into tree pose. So we're gonna step up with that left foot. So I want you to spin around, step it up, find your balance on your right foot. As you pick up the left foot, you can place it right on your calf, opening up, or bring it up higher to the inner thigh. Just make a choice what's right for you today. And then let that knee open out to the side. So I'm gonna carefully, spin. Okay, I'm gonna be backwards from you, that's okay. Okay, good. Your left knee is up, standing on your right foot. Hands can stay here. You could take them out for balance or over the head. Just finding which variation feels right. Just find a focal point that's ahead of you. Probably not your screen. Take a couple more rounds of breath. Come out as needed. It's okay if you tend to waver or sway. That's what plants and trees do. They just sway with the wind. Bring the hands down when you're ready. Now from here, we're going to challenge ourselves just a little more by crossing that left ankle over the right, and then see if you can have a seat back. Once again, if you've got something in front of you, you can hold on to it like this ottoman over here, or even your blocks if you want to go lower. So make a decision that's right for you. Try to cross the ankle completely over though. We're in a kind of seated figure four position, okay, or standing figure four. Good. Send the hips back. Take another breath. Push all the way back up to standing. See if you can release that foot at the very end, and then we'll step it back again. Good. Moving arms overhead, reach. And then exhale, forward fold. Take left hand to floor, right arm reaches up. And then sweep it back down. Stepping right foot back. Finding your variation of plank, lowering down to the mat. And then lifting up. Back down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, press back. Inhale, gazing forward. Walk up or step up to the top of the mat. Lifting halfway. And exhale. Good. Sweep it up. Hands Hands meeting at center. Inhale, sweeping. Exhale, forward fold. Lifting halfway. Stepping right foot back. So you can always take that elevated option, whether it's blocks or anything else. So I want you to find the space that's right for you. Sweep up. Anchor front knee, meaning it's not going to move to the left or the right. It's going to stay right there centered. And we're going to open that right hip back, turning the toes. Open up, warrior two. Left hand lifts up, away from your front thigh. Bringing left elbow down. And then sweeping right arm over into your side angle. Take another breath. Sweep the arm around, let it fall. Pulling you back into warrior two as we pivot around into that high crescent, stepping right foot up and then finding your balance. So you can tap the floor or challenge your balance by just floating the foot to the calf or above the knee to the inner thigh, just preferably not on your actual knee joint. So be mindful. This may sound like or feel like a great place to put it, but we don't want it on the knee. Okay, so we want to protect that joint without putting too much tension on it from the side there. Good. When you're ready, arms can reach overhead. Just find a focal point ahead of you. Feel grounded down through the foot that you're standing on. Let the shoulders relax back. Rib cage draws down just a bit. Hips stay nice and level. Take a couple more breaths. Finding that last breath here. We're going to cross the ankle the rest of the way over. So see if you can kind of move that ankle bone to the outside. Flex the foot. Start to lower down. If you've got your space like Rena's got here, she could even place maybe blocks on top of that, right? To give a little bit more elevation. So if it's a piece of furniture that you can hold on to, or you can stack a couple of things together. Okay, good. Just having a little seat there. You could also challenge your balance, just holding on, hands at heart. Take another breath. We're gonna see if you can come back up here all the way to standing without dropping that foot. Then releasing and sweeping it back. Turn the toes out. Good, reach out, warrior two. Go ahead and sweep back into your crescent. Oops, sorry. Sweep back into your crescent. Right hand goes down. Left arm goes up. And then come back around all the way to center. Stepping left leg back. Finding your transition, or just take a little break and we'll land on the floor when we're done. So floating up cobra. And then bring it down. Press it back this time all the way into your child's pose. Sinking the hips back. Rest the arms. Let's go ahead and we'll walk up to seated. So if you've got blocks there, you can just set them still within reach. I'm going to take a blanket, have a little seat. We're going to have to wrap it up here. So let's do just a couple of quick seated options. Alrighty, so bringing the feet forward. So you're sitting up on top of your prop or your blanket, whatever you have. It could be a bolster as well. Remember, you're sliding slightly to the edge of it just so that you've got your sit bones elevated and you're nice and level through your hips. We'll take the left leg, bring it up, and then cross it over. Give it a little hug. So as you pull in, either just with your hands, or if you can pull it in with the crook of your elbow here, the bend of your elbow, you can pull that in a little closer. And we'll start to turn to the left. So your left hand can drop behind you. Deep breath in, try to lift up tall. If you feel like you're being kind of pulled under, you might need a little higher elevation to sit on. Take a couple more breaths here. Relax the shoulders. Take a look over your front shoulder down to the floor. And notice there, sometimes that's when we notice that that shoulder's kind of kicking up. Just relax it. Try to look over past A little shoulder space here, kind of like you're looking behind yourself to the right. And then we'll come back to center with the head. Go ahead and turn the whole body back to center for a moment. Taking your left foot along the inside, just let the knee drop. So we're still elevated toward the edge of our prop. Inhale, get very tall. You could use blocks here for some elevation as well. That's why we want those close by. And come forward. So bringing your chest forward, not just the tip of your nose or the top of your head. So bringing your whole body forward, just enough that you feel a nice stretch through the back of the leg. Taking a couple more breaths. Starting to bring it back up to seated. We're going to slide that right leg just slightly over to the side. Just doing a little lift here to open the front body more. So we're going to take the left hand back. Yeah. We're just going to do a little modified, kind of a wild thing situation here. So lifting up onto the knee and onto your heel. Lift up, reach up. Just let everything open. Take that last breath. Bring it back down. Switching sides, so taking your left leg forward, right knee in. We'll cross it over. Sitting up tall, so again, just adjust yourself or your prop. Hug it in. Hold it with the hands or the bend of your elbow as you start to wrap it around. Pull your chest around. Right hand can rest to the floor. Deep breath. So here you'll find that you have to breathe a little deeper into the sides of your waist, rather than right directly into the middle of your belly or right into the middle of your body. So you want to move that side waist area and your back with your breath. Let's come back to center. Placing that right foot along the inside, let the knee drop. If it needs support, you can place a block under it for some support. Okay. Or you can use your blocks here to the sides, get tall, get lifted. Go ahead and bring your chest forward. So try to keep that space in the back of your neck, meaning we want to keep it just the same as when we started, rather than letting the head fall forward or lifting the chin up. So we're just going to keep that chin slightly tucked, but you're lengthening out through the top of your head, bringing your sternum forward. Take another breath. Coming all the way back up. Let's take that leg a little bit further out to the side, let it angle. Leaning back slightly to the right hand. Lift the left arm, come up. Stay there for another breath or so. And then bring it back down. Good, all the way down. Now go ahead and bring both feet to the mat. We'll recline all the way back. So you can take props off to the side. Just make sure that nothing's going to be in your way for a moment. As you recline back, draw knees to chest. Give them a little hug. Rocking side to side. Let's let the arms just drop out to the sides. Relax the shoulders. And let the knees fall over to the left side. So you might even, if you have your block nearby, you may even like to squeeze the block between the knees, if that makes it feel better for your back. Just find what works for you. The intention is just to let your shoulders remain heavy, your knees dropping to one side, and find that sense of relaxation, of support, feeling grounded. As you're ready, move back to center very gently. You could even have your feet on the floor as you do so. And then we'll just shift the hips slightly to the left as your knees drop to the right. Again, just let your shoulders remain heavy, relaxed, chest open. As you move back to center once more, feet to the floor. Move the hips back into center. Just let your arms relax down by your sides, palms face up. Bring the legs down the mat. And just take a moment here, about 5 full rounds of breath, and just let your body become very heavy, your eyes closed, or just a slight little slit in the eyelid if it feels better for you. Every exhale allows you to become heavier to the floor. Muscles in the face relax, the tongue falling from the teeth. Once you're ready, bring awareness back into your fingers, your toes with little wiggles, your wrists and your ankles with circles. We'll sweep the arms overhead, full body stretch. Big deep breath in, then bending your knees one at a time, taking feet to the mat. Let's roll to one side, just resting your head comfortably on your arm or a prop nearby. As you turn to the side, take that moment of pause, an acknowledgement, maybe just leaving behind what you don't need, straightening your top leg and pressing yourself up gently. As we come back into seated, moving forward, getting ready to go throughout the rest of your day, taking what's helpful and what's useful, and we'll come back with a big sweep. Bring the hands down. You can take a moment to close your eyes if that feels good, to bring your awareness inward. And just take that last opportunity to bow to your own inner teacher, the voice within, the light that guides. Thank you for showing up today, for being here, and for being awesome.